things that mean such a lot. So the unity in general is just so important.
Awesome. Thanks, Keith. And you know, it's what you're saying is so true, because it extends beyond. He was specifically talking about a team, but your family is a team, isn't it? You know, it's unity in your family, it's unity with your siblings, it's unity with co-workers, it's, you know, it's unity in your network marketing business. It's there's unity that we need to start saying, what roles am I playing within each one of those areas?
Yeah, like with unity at home too, as like you just said, with husband and wife or family, we just need to give that support to each other.
Awesome. Thank you, Keith. Yes, Vilma.
So the truth is that no man is an island.
Yeah.
So we all need each other. And it's actually, it's the first booklet that I've read in the series that actually mentions God. And I'm very pleased with that. I have to say that.
Handpicked for you, Vilma.
And I do find there is definite, you've got to have a common goal to have unity, because if you don't have a common goal, how can there be unity? And I think unity is the soul of networking.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're an island, if you want to be an island, if you are not a team player, then networking is most definitely not going to work. And the fruits of the spirit: peace, joy, love, patience. Peace. Yeah. So yeah, and that's I really liked reading it, and I identify with most everything that was being said in there. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. And so let me just do it. And you know what's so important with you saying no man is an island, and he starts off like that, like no man is an island. And how many times have we heard people say that I'm a self-made millionaire? Hey, it's impossible to be a self-made millionaire. Impossible, unless you literally are sitting on an island and you don't have a single person that has helped you or been part of a team or something. So there's no ways you can become a millionaire by yourself. There's a team of people that have helped you to get there. You might have had the creative ideas, but there were people that helped you to get there. You had a bookkeeper, you had an accountant, or you had salespeople or whatever it is. Yes, you might have trained them, you might have coached them, but you had a team that helped you to get there. And so that was the first thing that came to my mind is these people who say they're self-made millionaires. No, they're not self-made millionaires. There's a team that helped them to get there. Yes, fair enough. They had the idea or whatever it might be. Sorry, Elsie, you're an only child, but you definitely now have another team, which is your daughter and your hubby and you. So at least you now have a new team. Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. Who else would like to share what they got from the book personally? Yes, Jan.
Yeah, you know, what Keith said is absolutely true. What I thought was really interesting was the last part, practicing unity. And, you know, actually one of the things that I think is quite challenging in a team is communication, upholding open communication. And particularly, I think in network marketing, where we as a team want to be supportive and encouraging and have positive interaction, and yet there will be some questions and doubts and fears which have to be aired at some stage. And so I think the challenge is where and how to air those difficult conversations without pulling the group down, without pulling the team down. I think that for me was something to consider quite seriously.
I agree with you on that. And, you know, when it says uphold open communications, and that is actually what we want, which is so often when we're saying, one, as leaders, we need to know what group do we ask the question. Is it a question that should be asked on the group? If it shouldn't be asked on the group, where should it be asked? And then again, it's when you're asking, it's not to question, but it's to ask the question. You know, to ask the question, not that you're questioning other people's integrity or questioning other people's motives or whatever, but you ask the question for clarification of understanding. And it's a two-way thing, because we really need to learn how to ask a question. And that is one of the biggest things that we don't learn, but we do know how to question. And many of us question, but we don't ask a question because we haven't been taught how to ask questions, and that's an art on its own. So you're right, 100%. So when we say yes, we want that open communication, we want the two-way communication, and this is something I'm going to go into just now, we're going to communicate from our personality. Okay, so some of us are going to communicate a little bit more with sharp edges, versus someone with your personality who would communicate with soft edges, because your personality profile is a soft edges, whereas mine is a hard, sharp one. So we can say exactly the same thing. We literally can say exactly the same thing, but we will say it so differently based on who we are as our personalities. And if we don't understand that, we're not going to extend grace in those areas.
True. No, absolutely.
Awesome, but that's a really good one, and I also like that that whole section. That was my favorite part. I was so glad to see when I got to the last chapter there is practicing unity, that there was a practical application that one could actually do to. It wasn't just like, here's all the information, now what do we do with it, you know? And that was the practical application side of it. So there we go. So I just absolutely love it. So there we go. There's my coffee. There's my coffee. I finally have it.
Cute
okay.
cat.
Yeah. Says, don't hate me because I'm beautiful.
Doc, just to add to what you were saying,
Yes.
It's not only about a person giving a message in a certain way, it's whoever you're talking to perceives it in a certain way because of their personality.
100%.
So sometimes there's a lot of miscommunication, especially on WhatsApp, because you don't have the feeling, you don't have that personal connection to see the person's facial expression, or that they're not sort of understanding what you're saying. So I often find WhatsApp in that sense a bit difficult to communicate.
I agree with you 100%.
That's what the emojis are for.
My daughters are always saying to me, Mom, please just leave a message because we're going to try and work out what your emojis mean. So make sure the right emoji that you're sending, the other person has the same interpretation of that emoji. So yeah, I know one of our guys, Keith, I think you were on one of the groups where they wanted to send the finger, like pointing, but they sent the finger, and so the leaders on that group went ballistic, and they were shouting at this person, and I'm like, it's an honest mistake. You could tell by his content of what he was saying that he just pressed the wrong finger. Okay, so yeah, your emojis can have different meanings too.
I'd done that once.
Maybe it was you I'm thinking of, Keith. Maybe it was you.
I remember Chris still stained from the towel. But I didn't have specs on and I pushed the wrong thing and I didn't notice it.
I think it was you. That's why I vaguely remember you were on the group. I think because it was you who did it. So you see, and Keith wouldn't do that if you know Keith. All right, it's the last thing he's going to do. So that was just an error. Who else would like to share what they personally got from the book?
Doc, hi
Yes,
everyone.
please. How's it, Fran?
Doc, I enjoyed that visualization little sentence snippet in the beginning, and I thought that's actually the basic tools of mindset. So what I did was because in the first part of the book it says visualize what a good team is all about, or a team working together. And I sat back and I thought, I'm actually going to try this. And amazingly enough, everybody in my team especially my one downline where my mom's my front line. That team is fantastic. They basically doing, you know, what was in my visualization, how they just get along. They've got each other's back. The one guy went to hospital and he desperately couldn't load, and they collected slips so that as soon as he was out of hospital, they were there for him, and he was in hospital for quite a while. So that visualization, I like doing that, because
like
I
that.
thought I want my team to get along. I want my team to build. And then the other part was, I think there's an African proverb that says, Umuntu, Umuntu, Ngabantu. And I learned it from one of the team members, Busi, the lady that she went on Facebook and she went insane. She got 10 people in one day. And now everybody she's teaching and she's helping. And I think it's beautiful for her to share experience like that, because she's saying, I'm not an island. So it's like, I'm a human being because of other human beings. So that unity is there. And I think it's
Awesome.
spurred from the visualization. I don't think I would have had such a good feeling in the team if it wasn't for the visualization.
Awesome, Fran. I totally missed that, hey? I must have read right over it. So thank you for highlighting that one. Gosh, yes, absolutely. It would be quite something. I've never sat down to think what kind of team I would like. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us. I did just whiz over it, and I've just gone back there. It says visualize how much they care for each other. Okay. It's okay. I've got a lot of visualization when my children were small too. Okay, Elsie, yes.
And then there were two things that I picked up. The number one, or the first thing was, I have a totally different interpretation of what live and let live mean. The book sort of said it's people have a narcissistic kind of view. I do what I want and I don't care what the world thinks. I sort of was brought up, if somebody does something, let them do it. It's not your monkey, not your business, but you know, it's their own sort of world. So yeah, that to me was interesting, seeing it from a different point of view, a more selfish point of view. And then the other thing was, unity is important and we all want to help each other. But sadly, we do find narcissistic people in our team, or people who just suck us dry, who don't want to do anything. And I think it's important to also understand where to put your boundaries, so that, yes, you work together towards a goal, but it still means everybody should do their little bit, not just a few doing everything.
This is absolutely true. And going back to your first half, and I see Marine also agrees with that. When I read it from this perspective, I thought, live and let live. It's definitely not how I've done it. And I mean, I've promised that I would be the mother-in-law that was a live and let live. I was not going to interfere in my children's lives. I was not going to tell them where to put the dishes. I wasn't going to do anything. So I was going to just let them to live and let live, you know, and I wasn't going to interfere in how they raised the children or anything. So for me as well, that was my perspective of live and let live. Let's keep the harmony. Let's keep the peace. And that's about the only place that I don't put my nose in and I don't interfere in anybody's business and I don't have my say, is in their homes and how they raise their kids and all the rest of it. So yeah, so that's how I've done it. But I also saw it from this, and I thought, gee, I never looked at it from this perspective as well. So Roy is saying, I enjoyed that everyone understands the goals of the group, reinforce unity. Absolutely, and it is so important to understand what is that unity. Now what happens and what do we do when somebody who's part of the team, part of the family, for example, or part of something that doesn't want to have that unity, just doesn't want to be part of it. Now what do we do? Let and live, live and let live.
Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. When do we let go? When do we actually let go so that the peace stays within the group? Because that rotten apple, it's just one rotten apple that spoils the whole team. How, you know, so there's a dynamics that we've got to. Yes, Keith.
I was just thinking of, I think it said somewhere in the book too, like if everyone is like living in the same area, maybe some sort of a team building and just going out to do something together. as a team, and not to do with the business whatsoever, but
Mm.
just building relationships and eventually drawing them in that way.
Okay, so we'll send you. So when we go to Tenpin Bowling up here, you're going to have to go to Tenpin Bowling, and we'll have to live stream it. Okay, Keith, because you're
Okay.
you're too far and small and dumb for us to do that. And in fact, one of my goals for this year was to actually do team activities, and it's written down in my goal book that I did at the end of last year. And then COVID came along, and it's like, well, now what do we do? You know, so I thought, well, okay, we've got to get our back to basics where we're all talking to each other and sharing our perspectives, because otherwise, if we don't do that, we just feel like we're being dictated to all the time. So awesome. So thank you. Anybody else like to share what they got out of the book? Okay, right. Let me find my, where is it? Initial connections. Okay, so Anthony and I did Jan, you'll know this, George knows it, a couple of you on this group here, Juanita knows it, definitely I know Jan does, I know Liz does. Don't be scared to learn from someone else. That's probably the biggest thing that we should actually remember, is that we can learn from somebody else, and somebody else's perspective is just throwing a different light. It doesn't mean that we have to agree to disagree or fight or anything else like that, but it's just a different perspective, and it's okay. And someone else's perspective is their reality, and if we realize that, then we will actually right. Who else would like to unmute themselves? Nozuko? Can we unmute you? Nozuko.
I think it's very important to remember that a part can never be bigger than the whole. And that's the whole as in WH.
Yeah, not the whole. Awesome. Great. It's so true. Nokozo, I see you couldn't unmute. Okay. See. Let's ask you to unmute again. Nozuko, should I say? Sorry.
Check those two young, sexy people.
Excuse me, who's that?
Yeah, I'm also looking for them. Oh, am I sharing Zoom already? Okay. So, okay, so we're already sharing.
It's you working
Okay.
undercover.
Yeah, that's me undercover. That was like, I don't know how many years ago that was. Goodness gracious me. Okay, so like I said, Jan, you'll remember relationship DIY, you'll remember the personality profiling, those kind of things that we do, that Anthony and I have trained. So what we did was, a couple of years ago, Anthony and I did a whole, it's like 30 hours, okay, worth of how to utilize the DISC profiling within the network marketing, hence its relationship DIY networking success. Because to have your networking success is in actual fact all about how you build relationships. So one of the sessions that we did in the first module was initial connections with other styles. And so this one is just practical advice on how when two people meet each other. So what we're going to have a look at here is, when you look at the DISC profiling, if you look at the top there, you'll see a C and a D, and those are your purpose and your task focused people. Then at the bottom, you've got the S, which is green, and the I, which is red, which is your people and your relationship people. And then on the right-hand side of the screen, where you see Anthony and us there, you'll see that your D and your I are your extrovert and your fast-paced people, all right? And on the left-hand side, with the C and the S's, those are more the introverted and slower-paced individuals, okay? So what I'm going to show you here now is that if you happen to be the D, the choleric style person, which means you're very much focused on the task, okay, and you're extrovert or fast-paced, what happens when you start relating, or your initial contact with people when you first meet them? So it's quite interesting to see how this actually fleshes out. So please type in questions as we go, because each one of you should recognize or should know more or less what your profiling is. If not, you need to do the profiling test. Okay, so let's have a look here. So let's say you have a D, and a D now actually interacts with another D profile to person. All right, let's just see if there's a question coming up there.
Oh, sorry, that was half a sentence.
So you're a DI.
Mm.
Okay. So a D with a D coming in. Marine, yeah, you're an SC, definitely, or even sometimes a CS. But yeah, I agree with you. So if a D meets a D first time round, this is what actually you need to realize, is that both of you are powerful people, and generally speaking, you would repel people from you. Okay, you love to be in control, and you need to have your own space, and you definitely have posture. You know a D when they're in the room. So if two Ds are coming together and they're so aware of this, one of them has to learn to be less, to actually allow the other one to be more powerful, and allow the other D to take control, okay, and give them the space. So if you're a D and you want to have a better relationships with another D, and you're trying to close them, or you're meeting up with them for the first time and you want to take them on this journey, you really need to know how to work, how to become the softer D of the two, okay? So be very aware of that. Okay, if you're a D and you're going to interact with an I personality, now, like I said, Ant and I have done this whole course. It's like 30 hours worth, and I know you can buy it on Udemy if you wanted to. I think it's about 500 Rand for the whole course, but you can literally go through each of these things, and we tell you how to make a phone call, how to invite, you just name it. Everything you've got to do with network marketing from these personality profiles. But anyway, so if a D interacts with an I, now, an I loves being popular, loves you to speak into them. They're enthusiastic, and they love to know who is doing this as well. Now, when a D interacts with an I, they really don't care about like how popular you are. They don't. The last thing a D is going to tell you is, well done, you've done a great job, or your hair looks lovely. Okay, so if a D interacts with an I, you need to be highly aware of this. And also, a D can have a face where sometimes you've just got to go to the mirror and just put a happy face on and invite your face to smile. So when an I interacts with you, they think you're angry. They think you they think you cross. Okay, so just be aware of that, and make sure that you're aware as a D to make a happy face and be enthusiastic and compliment an I. All right, otherwise your initial contact, the likelihood of closing is going to be very, very minimal there. Okay, a D with an S, oh my goodness gracious me. Marine, this is where you just want to run away when you see a D profile person. Tessa, you just want to run away when you see a D profile person coming towards you. It's like, oh, where can I hide? Because it's not natural to just like this. Okay, and Ds have a tendency to push an S. So if you're a D, and I'm specifically talking about a D, and you're going to interact with a phlegmatic, an S profile person, you need to, please, Doc, I can see the D right up again. Okay. So please, Doc, can I see the D right up again? Okay. The D on the D, Fran. Just ask me if it's a D on D or not.
Yes, please, Doc. Under the D. I think I am a D as well.
Oops, I think you are a D as well. There we go. There we go. You got it?
I'm a D and Tessa didn't run.
That's because Tessa's a wise woman. Okay, then you've got your I. And so a D, if you want to, you see, you were wooing her, George, and that's why she fell in love with you, because you slowed down. When you speak to her, you call her lovey, and always remember, as a D, and you do, George, when you speak to Lovey, you speak with a much softer, lower kind of voice. So that's what she's fallen in love with, okay? So please remember, if you are a D, slow your pace down, slow your words down. You know, just be kinder. Remind yourself, you know, smile, and then always remember, when they say speak at their level, it's not belittling the S. What it is that the S's are very, very, very intelligent people, and they're so people focused and so relationship builders, and they are introverted. They understand the vibe in a room. So when they say speak at their level, they mean if they are a child, then you need need to take your language down to a child. If it's an adult, a teacher or something, you need to up that level. If it's a housewife, you need to level it at a housewife level, so you don't pitch. And I remember I had this very strong D upline lady, and she was trying to close somebody who was an S, and the S, because she was a stay-at-home mum, okay, what automatically happened was she thought, oh, well, this is an ex-teacher, and she started on asset generating vehicles. And this lady just said to her, listen, I have no clue what you're talking about. I might have been in business before, but right now, that's not my headspace. So a person could be at a high intellectual level, but we need to meet them where they at. So maybe that's what it should say rather, is speak at their level, speak to them, not at them. Okay, so be very, very cautious of that if you're wanting to close a phlegmatic, okay, or an S. And then, of course, you've got your, oh, what happened to the D? Oh, I'm going backwards, sorry, wrong buttons. Okay, then with a D, with the C, who's a compliant, your melancholy, which is very purpose, and also slow-paced introvert. A D must make sure they understand the process. Avoid competing with facts. Avoid any form of competition. Okay, and allow the C to show their knowledge. So D's naturally, if a C is sort of appearing to be questioning or asking a lot of questions, the D will want to jump in and start with this, well, I actually know more than you. So that's the competition in the D that would come out. If you feel you see yourself doing that, back off and start asking the C to tell you what they understand about what they've heard or seen, and allow their knowledge to come through. So can you see how important it is for us when we're talking about unity and connection, how we need to look at how we actually interact? And one is the way we say something, and the other is what Elsie pointed out as well, is the way we hear something. Okay, so please be aware if you are the D. Are you learning anything from here? Is it worthwhile me carrying on to what the I, the S, and the C need to be doing, or are you all good? I agree with you, Fran. Your mom is an S. Your hubby is a CS. Together we have it. Awesome. Okay, so both Anthony and I, oh, great, Sylvia. Awesome. Another lovely phlegmatic. Oh, look at all these phlegmatics say yes, carry on, Michelle. They're so sweet. The D's haven't said a word. The R's haven't said a word. Okay, Fran, you've got up an I. You've just told me I'm just awesome. Okay. But do you see what the I just did there, guys? Fran wrote in there, very awesome, and I took it as me, Michelle, I'm awesome. Okay, it shows you how you take that. So Anthony's a very high choleric. Fair, clear, monarchy, bit of everything. Okay. Yes, please understand, guys, we do have all of these in us. Okay. But the thing is, we need to understand is when you're under emotional pressure, which is the one you resonate with the most? Okay. So if you're under emotional pressure, Elsie, for example, do you have to make sure that all the checks and balances are in place, all the little ducks are in order, everybody has to be doing everything until that emotional pressure goes away? You need to be in control of your environment. You need to now understand everything is around you. Or when you're under emotional pressure, do you want to sit down and have coffee with someone and just cry and share your story? Okay, that is where you're going to find it. So yes, we have, all of us, a little bit of everything. So I am primarily an ID, okay? In my work environment, I'm very much a DC, okay? I have very little S in me, so that's where I need to work. But we all do have a combination of them all. But the secret to understanding the DISC profile is when you're under emotional pressure, where do you default to? Now, what we need to understand is when people are making monetary decisions, even if it's over 1,500 Rand, when we're making monetary decisions, a person is under emotional pressure. Okay, so always remember that. Whenever you talk about money, a person is under emotional pressure, which means that the D needs to understand the C is going to want to have to show their knowledge, because they need to be in control of their situation. They need to understand the process. And if you try to compete with that, guess what? It's not going to work. And so with the S, and so with the I, and so with a D on a D. So please understand, this is when you're under emotional pressure, is who you actually are as a in these profilings. Okay, so let's see what the I's are all about. Okay, so an I with an I. Oh dear goodness. Competition steps in. All right, and the reason being is because the two I's that will come into, they want to be the most popular in the room. All right, and the most seen in the room, and the most recognized in the room, and they love to be acknowledged for who they are. They please never be false to an I, always be real. An I will know that you know that you know that you say, oh, your hair looks lovely. No, we know that's not what you meant. Okay, so rather shut up than say something to an I that's false. Always be truthful with an I, and if you can't say anything, say nothing. So I on I, one of you just needs to take a back seat for a few minutes if you're going to. Now, I am a true I. If I walk into a room and there's another I in the room, I tell you what, I really have to go and take myself to the bathroom. I need to take a drink of water, and I need to say, Michelle, become less visible. You need to make it about them. Okay, I literally have to go and send myself to the bathroom to get my head sorted out, because it's a natural reaction. And you'll see the other eye as well in the room. So a lovely one eye says, oh, I love your shoes. It always goes down well. Okay, but say it with some enthusiasm. Okay, Lady Liz, you're an ID, okay, but with the family, you're an IS. Thanks, Docs, for reminding us. Absolutely. My one friend openly told me that she wanted to visit alone and not with others, so that she knows that she has all my attention. And it's not divided. 100%, she knows who she is. And like, listen, guys, I'm like that with my grandchildren. I will not go to their parties because I'm not the popular grandmother. So I will not going to go to their parties. It's the craziest thing. So what do? I go and I make sure that I'm very devious, I know. I'll go beforehand and I'll have the best present. And then they won't remember the other grannies afterwards. Now, I'm joking, but seriously, it's an issue. That's what ours go through. Now, the rest of you guys may think it's fickle, but let me tell you, all ours go through this all the time. Okay, so I just don't do the kids' party. I won't compete with other grandmothers. And my daughter knows that, and I've told her, listen here, I'd much rather come and do some quiet time with the kids and just spend one-on-one time with them than be at a party and I don't get noticed. And it's the truth. It's the absolute truth. And so it is what it is, okay? It's God wired us this way, all right? But she's a D, so she didn't understand that. So we had a fight, and I wasn't allowed to see the grandkids for about 6 months. But we're all over it now, and we all understand where we are, and we move on next. Okay, R's with supporters, with phlegmatics, with your S personality profilers. Please be relationship focused. Okay, so Marine, it works for you, okay, because you have S in you. So when she comes to you, she also is only going to, as much as you probably, talking a lot about her, because that's what I's do, but also it's one-on-one focused relationship building time. And you feel that you're adding to building that relationship because you're honoring her in that undivided attention as well. Okay. So please understand, guys, your S profile people are not going to be as excited and enthralled about the card as you are, okay? So that you're going to say, gee, we're going to get an element card, and we're so excited we're going to get this element card. And they will look at you and they'll say, oh, that's really lovely. Don't get offended, okay? Tone it down, okay? And ask them, talk to them about my husband's having a lot. Okay, so guys, please just tone yourself down. Eyes, oh my goodness, can I give you eyes? I've learned this over the years. I'm going to just quickly stop share. Okay, eyes, these hands. Oh, I'm so excited. We're going to get an element card. It's like, oh, I can't wait. Take those hands, sit there and say, gosh, you know what? Because you know what? The moment you hold your own hands, you can actually do it. Gosh, you know what? We're going to get an element card, and it's like, I'm really excited about it. Okay, put that. And then your S friend is going to say, oh, that's fantastic. That's awesome. When is it coming? Okay, because tie your hands up. Okay, and I know you probably, some of your eyes really won't be able to talk right now, because if you hold your hands, you can't talk. You're the ones that will go, okay, this is an eye for you. Okay, so I want you to go down the road, around the corner, and go down the hill. You know that hill there. They can't see you, but you will be doing it, and all your eyes will laugh at yourselves next week when you're giving someone directions. Okay. Laughing out loud, my husband just looked at me and like, what's going on? Did you speak to my mom about the card? That's her response. Exactly. Gosh, that's lovely. Okay, that's how they respond. It's not because they're not excited. They're actually very excited. It's just they just don't express it in the same way as you do, because they are more of a introvert, slower paced. Okay. And so please make time to appreciate your phlegmatic friends, guys. Please, it's very, very, very important. Okay. Make time to appreciate them. Now, Tessa is my dearest, dearest, dearest friend, and she's a very high S. Okay. And today, the other day we were just having a chat, and her boss really abuses her, okay, because he's an ugly person, he's a cleric, okay, and it's just the way he is. And it's like, all she wants is just, can't you just say thank you to me? My sister's a high S. She said to me the other day, I don't care if I don't get a salary increase. Can't you just say thank you? It's the appreciation that's more important. So I said to her, please don't ever tell your boss that, because he'll, at salary increase time, he'll give you 1% extra thank yous. Okay. And that's not going to pay your bills. All right. Keith, yeah, if you hold your hands while they talk to you, goodness gracious me, they're probably going to box you. Okay. So there we go. Right. So let's have a look at the I on a C. Oh, terrible combination, guys. Please, please, please. 5 times, please. This is fireworks. Okay. There it says there, the first one. This is a challenge. Eyes, this is where you're going to work the hardest. Okay. You're either going to attract or you're going to repel C's. Okay. All I'm going to say to you is, please, eyes, they don't give a continental about your stories. Okay, so if you are recruiting or you're speaking to a C and they want the facts, okay, please do not use any hand movements. Keep your hand movements to an absolute minimum. You need to be calm, and all you've got to do is talk about facts. Do not tell a story. Okay, so please do not tell a story. So I've learned with Anthony, who's a DC, okay, and he's a DI as well in the training environment. He's a DI, mostly in the work, he's a DC. So I know if I bash his car, I mustn't go to him and say, hey, sweetie, guess what? You know what? I couldn't believe it. We were at the supermarket today, and what happened is I saw Jan, and I was waving to Jan, and as I waved to Jan, I scratched the car. Okay, he doesn't care about the fact I saw Jan and I waved to Jan. I've got to come and say, and I've scratched the car. Okay, then while he's doing his choleric thing and checking the car, I can tell him the story, because then he doesn't care what the story is. Okay, so know how to talk to them. All right, and then he'll remember he must ask you later how you are. All right, but he'll check the car first. Okay, so that's a D. It's not that he doesn't love me, it's how he functions. Okay. So eyes out there, C's are going to be your most challenging. Females, I'm going to tell you that C males are your most challenging. Okay. So please, if you come across a C and you know you're going to interact with a C, you better have your facts. Ant and I were in a really good meeting the other day, and the gentleman who was in charge, he was a very, very senior man, but such a high phlegmatic, and he was a phlegmatic melancholy. And so that was her SC. And Ant and I, as DRs, we just want to jump in there. We just want to like, this is the business deal. This is what's going to go on. This is what we've done. This is how we've done it. And we just took one look when this guy opened up, and we just took one look, and we thought, deep breath, deep breath. So tell us what you want from this. And like, we didn't even pitch our story because it meant nothing to him. Okay, he wanted to connect with us, and then when he asked us something, we better have our facts. And so it was very interesting how that one went down. So eyes, oh, you're the hardest, but we love you all, and we love you every much. So my daughter, who's a D, whenever I tell her and I say, you got to kiss yourself in the morning, in the mirror every morning, and say, you're so beautiful, morning beautiful. And that's how eyes function on a daily basis. Okay, guys, let's now have a look at the Eyes on a D. Oh gosh, haven't done that one. All right, this is a little bit easier. And eyes actually don't mind following, okay? So when they got a D, it's very easy for them to just hand over the reins and let them take leadership. And that's probably why Ant and I actually work very well together, and eyes don't mind that. But they will always compliment the D for their leadership. Okay, always eyes. If you do that, you've got the D in your corner and you can just run with it. Okay. Okie dokie, let's have a look at our S's, our phlegmatics, not our asses, our S's, okay? So we're not calling you asses, we're calling you S's. Roy, this is you, and a couple of others there. Okay, an S on an S. When you're interacting with an S, this could take time. Okay, guys, this is going to take quite a while, okay? Because S's sometimes can't make decisions. Very serious, okay? It's always, so what did you think? No. What did you think? 2 S's going through the door. No, you go first. No, it's okay. No, you go. It's you go. And the D will come and say, who the hell's going through the door first? Okay. So that's how D's work. Sorry, S's work. Please, S's will always smile. Okay. Give our book to read. Yeah. Give the book. Give your book. You've confused me there, Vilma. Okay. Always S's. Please be very careful that you both will procrastinate. It's just because you want to be so kind. Okay, so just one of you make a decision. Okay, I said to Tessa the other day, listen, we're going to do some Pilates. What day suits you? Do you know I could not get a date and time until I told her this is the date and time we're doing it. And she said, okay, I can do. I must have asked Tessa about 7 times, 7 different ways for her to give me a time that would suit her. And she just didn't want to, because she didn't want to take control of the situation. Could Tessa take control of the situation? Absolutely. But she just knew, Michelle, you make the decision. Okay, and so we made the decision, and then I think we just tweaked a couple of minutes here and there, but it is about, but just be careful, 2 S's together, procrastination can step in. Okay, S with a C, there's a nice connection there because you're both slow paced, okay, and you are both introverts, and S's would love to tap into the C's experience, which is really cool, okay, and S's have a way of complimenting them for their expertise and getting their knowledge. So this is an easy combination, all right, really easy combination. The C feels they don't have to compete, the C feels comfortable, and so it's a nice relationship, and you'll probably find your S will close more C's than your I will close C's, okay. Nice one. S's with D's. Okay, you're going to have some courage. All right, just have some courage, toughen it up, and make sure that you're not overpowered by a D. Don't let them do that. And if you S, always remember the D wants to know what's the bottom line. So just go straight and listen here. It's going to cost you 1,500 Rand every 28 days. Are you in or out? Basically, that's it. They don't want to know the ins or outs. They'll make a decision based on that with an S to a D. Okay. S's with your eyes, it's so much easier. Only thing is just learn to be upbeat, learn to laugh, learn to have some excitement, and just keep it a little bit more upbeat and faster paced when communicating. Okay, all good. Are we all good? Are we all good? We got 15 minutes left. So do you see how important it is to actually understand how different our personality profilings are, and how it impacts us when we're communicating and when we're interacting one-on-one, okay? Like I said, we've done 30 hours of this, okay? 30 hours in different things, how to close a person, how to invite them, how to understand and hear what their profile is over the phone without putting them in a box. Please remember, we're not boxing anybody. But it's really phenomenal. Thank you, Fran, and Olive, phenomenal learning. It's good stuff to understand how different we are and how we function, okay? Awesome. Let's go back to doing, what did I just do here? Screen share again. Screen share again. Right. Okay. Let's do the, there we go. C's. All right. If you see profile, you're primarily a C with a C. Okay. There's going to be a standoff. You're going to both be cold and aloof. And the reason being is simply because you're literally going to, I know more than you. Okay. And I've seen this standoff with a C a very mature C would then just say, you know what, let me appreciate their excellence. Okay, let me appreciate the way they see it. Let me support them, especially if you're actually trying to build a relationship with them. But there is going to be a time when you as a C also need to share your experiences and that kind of thing. If it is, I did this, and well, I did this better. I did this better. You know what? And you can't get away from that. Walk away. Walk away. Maybe that's not the relationship that needs to be. And if you're a husband or wife and you both see as well, come see Doc Ant. He's an excellent marriage counselor. Okay, that was free advertising for Doc Ant. All right, I'm not going to go into that one. All right, C's with D's. Okay. Now, C's with D's, let's see there. Don't ever think everyone is the same. We're all different and never try to be someone else. Roy, that's so true. And that's it. We must never try and be someone else, but we need to accommodate other people. So how we would do that is, for example, like me, for example, if I'm sitting, if I am the natural me with Vasi, I'm going to terrify her, okay, because Vasi is a very high phlegmatic. Okay, very high phlegmatic sanguine. And she's got a bit of C in her as well when she comes to the numbers and the figures and that kind of thing. So work-wise, Vasi probably functions in the SC, okay? But in the home-wise and with you, and when she's comfortable with people, her I will come out. But if an I comes into Vasi's space and wants to take over and laugh and joke, and that's why sitting in your house, my connection with your daughter who's so extrovert, who's a high I, okay, so that's where my focus was, and we slowly brought Vasi in, and eventually Vasi came and sat with us and all the rest of it. But you can't face it out on Vasi. So if I want to build a relationship with Vas, I need to calm down. I need to speak slower. I need to ask her. I need to be genuinely involved in her. So it's not about being someone else. It's about accommodating the other person to get the best out of them. Okay. And that's how your disc profiling works. Thanks. Yeah, no. Shame. People wonder why we actually spend time with them. They're petrified we're always analyzing people, but we're not. We're just analyzing to get the best out of them. Okay. So control is what we need to understand is that both the D and the C like to control, but they control differently. So your D is very much an external controller. Your C is very much an internal controller. Okay, so they'll control from a different perspective. But a D, you've just got to hand it over to the C. And you know what? They probably do know a lot more than you do. Okay, and they probably do know the facts and the figures better than you do. But once they tell you, you will always remember it, and then you'll utilize it yourself as well. So just allow them to be the one that does share that information as well. Okay. It clarifies a lot of responses I get from people, and even with my reaction, 100%. It's so important to understand this information. Okay, C's with an I. Oh my heavens. This is again from a C to an I. A C just doesn't want to know an I. We're just too over the top. We're just too, the polarity of the extreme is just too high. Okay. But if a C could up their game and enjoy and have a little bit of fun, and not judge the I, because immediately a C and I together, the C will judge the I, and the I will feel they've been judged by the C, and then this is a bad combination. Okay, so just be aware that when you are interacting, if you are a C and you're interacting with I's, their egos will be there. They're more than likely their love language, which plays a lot in this also, their love language is more than likely words of affirmation. I know you will never use words with them like, gosh, that's excellent or fantastic, or what you will say, gosh, you did a good job. Okay, and you need to learn to also accept that a C is not going to tell you you're excellent. Also, C's, please understand that if an I does anything that is at least maybe 70% as good as what you would have done, that is excellent for an I. So please don't take the job away from them. Don't take the work away from them. Allow them. Then you just go fix the 30%, but allow them to still do something. So be aware that this combination could cause a lot of friction as well. Okay. So the C with the S, okay. Relationship. Okay, connect one-on-one and appreciate them. That's all you've got to do, Mr. C. That's all you've got to do. Okay. So make sure that you understand. That's how you're going to connect with them there. All right. So how a C connects with an S, the magic. Okay, well, this is something else. All right, I'm going to stop there because I think I've gone. Did I do the C on a C? Yes, I did. We started with that. Okay. All right, there we go. Just there, it is there. Cross quadrants, extroverts with extroverts, easier to connect. Introverts with introverts are easier to connect. Introverts with extroverts and vice versa are more difficult and need to be deliberately managed. Okay, so just be aware of that. Go out there, learn to live these principles. So there we go. Any questions? Did you enjoy that? I enjoyed it, going through that again. It was actually quite fun. Well, obviously I did it. I'm an I sharing it with you. Obviously, and I had fun. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. Awesome. So please, guys, again, with unity, if we want to create unity, awesome. Thanks, Janine. It is important for us to realize that we are so different. And what makes it even more, it's not just, you're not just a D or a D, you're a DI, and then you come across somebody else who's a DS or a DC, and now you're still going to work within those parameters. So the more you understand how the profiles work, and somebody the other day said, was asking me why do Ant and I, why is it easier for us to close? And I've went through all the things, and even in our last consulting session now, we were talking about that, and I realize it is actually more, because this is what we've both done our PhDs on. We've been teaching this since the year 2000. And all I've got to say is that if you want to, there's a book called Personality Plus. Okay, it's hilarious. Personality Plus, and it's by Florence Latoya. Please don't ask me how to spell her name. But if you can get the download version or the ebook version, it is a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant book. Write down, she even talks about how differently we eat grapes. Okay, so any of your melancholies that are on this group now, if you had a bunch of grapes, you would pick one grape off at a time, and probably from the bottom of the bunch. Okay, am I right, Fran? Look at this. I mean, it's like, okay, so she talks about that. Whereas, and then a choleric comes along, and they like take 4 or 5 from the middle of the bunch, and they shove it in their mouths and they go off. And the melancholy is like, how can you eat grapes like that? And people can fight over how you eat grapes, guys. Okay, so a melancholy, for example, would, there's so many different things. Gave me lots of laughter, recognizing the personality for myself, family, and people around you. It is such fun to know. Yes, Latowa, there we go, Florence Latowa, that's how you spell it. Thank you, Vilma. Book is called Personality Plus. It is the best book. In fact, all the network marketing gurus use it as their foundation book. Okay, and that's how we, over the years, realized that we took the information that we've learned and put it onto this. You can go and buy this course on Udemy if you wanted to, and go through it. And it covers everything to goal setting with people, how you speak to people, how you do different things with different people, and how you understand if a person's under emotional pressure, and when they're under emotional pressure, how do you react to them, because they're going to react in their most natural state when they're under pressure. So, for example, Anthony being a D, if he's under emotional pressure, he's going to get himself very angry. So the moment Anthony's a little bit of anger comes up, and Anthony's not an angry person, I know he's under emotional pressure, so I need to remove myself away and remove anything that's going to cause emotion, to lift his emotions until he can come settle down again. Okay, and so, for example, in S, when they're under emotional pressure, they get away from people. They will go sit in their room. They don't want to be around people. Okay, they want to withdraw. Okay, and there's one of the things that we do here as well is the different types of sicknesses. There we go, Personality Plus. You got that from your Amway days, Lady Liz. Hey, Liz. Awesome. I was looking for mine on my shelf today, and I just couldn't find mine. But yes, exactly. So it's really a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant read. If you guys, in fact, I think we should actually, like George is doing with Think and Grow Rich. Maybe we should actually all download it. I'll try and find it. We should actually start reading it and talking about the different ways. How you peel a banana is like, oh my goodness, that's like, please. How you peel potatoes is so different. I mean, you must see Anthony peeling potatoes versus one of my daughters, and it's like, Daddy, leave it alone. Just put that potato down and go. Just leave the kitchen. I cannot handle it, because he just like chug, 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 and it's like got to go round and slowly, and there's a sequence to peeling a potato. Okay, so guys, personality profiling is one of the most amazing things. It's not to box us. It really isn't, because we are a combination of all of these things, and but it is just exciting to start understanding. And if you know these kind of things, you know who you are, and then you recognize things. We talk about how you walk. Okay, you'll know a choleric if you're in a restaurant and you don't know your prospect for the first time. You can see whether they're an I, whether they're a D, they're an S or a C when they walk in that room. You will know it. There's just so many beautiful traits about people that you'll know. Your melancholies, they will fiddle with the salt and pepper on the table until it's perfectly organized in accordance with how they think it should be done. And then they get itchy fingers because they want to go and do all the tables in the restaurant exactly the same as the one they've just done. So guys, we teach you, Marine, exactly how to recognize your prospects immediately. You can know what they say. Even on the phone call, you can recognize who they are. Okay. If you had to pick up the phone, the D will say, "What do you want?" That's a D. Okay, what do you want? And then you're all flustered. Well, now what do I say? Okay, and I is going to go, "Hey, hi, how's it, Marina?" So you know that's an I on the phone. And S is going to say, "Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you." Yes, that's an S. Okay. A C, it will just be very curt. "Hello, thank you."
What's the call about?
What is it? What's the call about? How's it? You know. And the D wants the bottom line. So how much is it going to cost me? Okay, by what they say, you'll know exactly who they are. Okay, so very exciting stuff, guys. Thank you for this evening. It is exactly 9:30. And I tell you what, I had fun tonight. So there we go. I hope you all enjoyed yourselves. Yes, I have recorded this. I shall put the recording up, and we will have some fun with this some more. I'll see how we can take it from there. Okay, so take care. Love you all. God bless. Sleep tight. It's a pleasure, guys.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks, pleasure.
Bye.
Cheers, guys.